once in a while he'd put me on his knee, and he'd go, trust, ya, up the mill, up the boomer vault. Albert says, no, that wasn't boomer vault, it was something else, but as far as I can remember, that's what he said, and I looked it up in the dictionary, and the vault means forest, and the boomer, I don't know what that was, but that was part of it, and I got it up in the tree by the gate.
Yep, I've seen the sign.
So I remember that. Alice and I playing out in the snow, and we made a kind of a chair to sit on, and then we played taking a barber and cutting hair. Well, what did we know about barbers? God, we never got away from home. I never seen a train until the one I stepped on, you know.
So did you actually cut each other's hair?
No.
You were just pretending?
My father did.
Ah.
Yeah, I just remember playing in the snow. Oh, one time I remember us playing in the granary. It was a little it was probably 10 feet long, 8 feet wide, 8 or 10 feet high. And they put the grain in there after it was thrashed. And then they tried to get a good price and take it into town.
Yeah.
10 miles into town with a wagon and horses. And I went to town with him once, that I remember. It might have been twice, but I only remember one. And we were, I think it was with him.
What town was that, Dad?
What?
What town?
What town?
What was Winnipeg?
Ashern.
Oh, Ashern.
Yeah. And that was 75 miles more further north was...
Ashern was 75 miles from where you were?
Well, it was from home to Winnipeg was close to 100 miles. I think it was probably
Wow.
70 or whatever. There was this place 75 miles north of us, the railroad stopped.
Oh, okay.
And I can't think of it. It's this powder. I can't think of it. If I knew the thing, I'll tell you. It'll come to me. My second brain will kick in pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what other memories do I have?
Not Bergeron.
The what?
Not Bergeron. That wasn't the town. The other town.
Bergeron.
Oh, Beausejour.
Oh, is that it?
Bergeron.
No, that was, Beausejour was like, when we were north of Winnipeg, Beausejour was northeast of Winnipeg.
Oh, okay.
35
There's
miles.
a Jarschke that died of tuberculosis at a young age in the Bergeron, like tuberculosis
a lot of
cemetery.
our cousins died from pneumonia and whatever.
Yeah.
That's Ludwig Jarschke's family, right?
Pardon?
Your dad's brother Ludwig?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he has a family that's still kind of there.
Well, he homesteaded, but it was more south towards Winnipeg. And they just died about 2 years ago. Adam and I can't think of his, Max and Adam. I'm trying to get all of these things together. I remember one time Alice and Albert and I were in the Spruce Bluff Woods, about 2 acres of spruce trees,
Uh-huh.
and they were the only ones in that part of the country. And my father was saving those. He was going. We had a 2-story house, a log house. He was going to build a good house with those. And Alice and Albert and I were out in the Spruce Bluff, just about out of it. And here was these flowers, and they were lady slippers. They're,
Oh, yeah.
they're kind of what you may call it.
Like an orchid.
Yeah.
They were kind of an orchid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I actually seen that. I'm trying to think. Oh, one time we were going to the picnic, and that was maybe a mile, maybe 2 miles, and then 2 miles that way. At what they call Picnic Ranch. And we were going to the picnic. My father was driving the wagon, the horses. We didn't have any other conveyance. And we got to this place where the water in the springtime, or late spring, the water was running across the road. They didn't have culverts. They usually washed out. And so here we come up there, and here these guys had the buggy down in the water and one horse in the water.
Uh-oh.
And the guy said, it was the Millers, Bob Miller and they were a rough bunch.
Uh-oh.
Anyhow, they said, boy, we're going to get those tumblers. They said to cross on the right side, and we're going to get those suckers.
They got the wrong directions, huh?
And so we unhooked. My father drove through the thing where it wasn't deep, and unhooked our horses and hooked onto their horses and their buggy. They had a buggy.
Yeah.
And took them out.
Huh.
Well, that sounds like stuff we see on Little House on the Prairie.
My dad was going to the picnic. And Albert and I don't agree on where that picnic ridge was, but we were going there, and I remember going. The back of our place was the meadow, and back to that was a swamp, or there was a lake. There was pristine, clear water.
Nice.
And Albert and Alex and I were in this boat. It's lucky we didn't tip over. We would have drowned.
Yeah. Was it
Yeah.
cold?
Huh?
Was it cold water?
I
it's
imagine
probably
it was.
glacial water. I bet it. You would have frozen. Then you would have drowned.
Yeah. Well, this was summertime, though, when this happened. It was in the water. Just one time that I remember that.
So did you kids know how to swim at that time?
No, gosh, no. We were 12 years old in Ripon, California, and that's about the time we finally learned how to swim, like dog paddling.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Otherwise, no, we didn't learn how to swim. We would have drowned.
Huh.
But in fact, Albert and Carl were in a boat going, and they recited what happened. I didn't see it. It said that Carl jumped out on this. I don't know if it was a beaver or a muskrat thing.
House.
There was kind of a bunch of brush stuck in that. And he jumped out on it, and he started sinking.
Oh God.
But
Oh,
I
he
didn't
didn't-
see that. I just
Yeah.
heard about it. Another time, Albert come home crying, and he is biting me in my heels. It seems like, I don't know, it must have been, it couldn't have been a beaver. It might have been, but I don't think so. Although, it was like from the swamp to there, half a mile at least, before you come to trees. I don't know if it's beaver or muskrat, but I remember Albert crying because this thing had been biting him in the heels.
He probably deserved it. He was kind of a rascal, wasn't he?
Probably
Albert?
twisting the
Yeah.
beaver's
Yeah, he
tail
kind
or
of was.
something.
Yeah, Albert tells me I remember my mother saying to Carl. Carl was like 3 or 4 years older than Albert,
Uh-huh.
maybe 3. And he had typhoid fever, and he almost died.
Oh, my goodness.
He was real skinny. Albert said that he was just like a skeleton.
Huh.
And but he survived that. And so, trying to recall all these memories.
So what did he remember your mom saying?
The what?
You said Albert remembered your mom saying something
Oh,
to...
yeah, that's what it was.
Uh-huh.
He said he remembered her saying to Carl, no, don't do that. That's little Albert's toy. We didn't have many toys.
Yeah.
And he said, no, don't do that. That's little Albert's. Alice, I remember, you know, we were Catholic and my father was strict, going to church and stuff. And so, my sister dressed Alice up in her Sunday best, dressed me up in our Sunday best, whatever it was, and they took us out in the yard, and she said, gave us this ball. The ball was probably about that big, one of those rubber balls that's got these imprints of animals and things on it. And she'd give it to me, now you can play with that. And it'd stand like from that chair to me, and they'd throw it there, and she'd throw it there, and she'd throw it back to me. That was something great.
Huh.
That's the only toy that I remember having, although we probably did have other ones, but I remember that my father brought some oranges, I think they were, home. And they were wrapped in a thin paper that was translucent. And we argued over, not great argument or anything, but, oh, that's mine. Oh, that's not yours, that's mine. And we'd use it, put it over something that was a picture of something, and then we'd draw on it. That was...
Like tracing paper?
That was something great.
Huh.
So that's about all the memories that I can remember.
Well, how much older was Alice? Was she?
She was like 2 years older than me.
So she was your playmate, pretty much,
Yes.
huh?
Yes.
You guys played a lot together.
Yes. I remember playing out in, somebody put the swing up in Spruce Bluff, and we were swinging on it and everything. I can't think of the words now. Oh, the days of childhood, and the days of my childhood. Everything, I can't think of the words now, but, and then when we go older, when we grow up, I'm going to have a red wagon with a small horse. That was going to be
What you wanted to have. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, that kind of worked out because you ended up with a red Volkswagen, and it doesn't have very much horsepower, so that kind of worked.
I remember going to church one time, and my father, we must have been at least 2 years before we left there, and we went to church in the wagon. They take the hay rack bed off the wagon. My brother Carl, he was pretty strong when he finally got well. And my brother Carl and my dad would put on this, forget what they called, box wagon. And they put a 2x12 across for seats.
Yep.
And that's what we'd ride to town. And I remembered it would be kind of rough.
I bet.
Iron wheels, you know.
Yeah.
And Alice and I'd go, and then when we got to church, all this fan thing, it kind of didn't soak into me. All I knew that this was something, whatever. And they lit on this wall or board. There was this thing that was maybe about like that, maybe about that high, and there was candles in there, and they'd light a match and light a candle and put it there for someone, and I guess that's why they put I don't know if they did or not, but I guess they did.
For your mother.
Yeah.
I remember you told me about the wolf that
The frozen wolf?
The frozen wolf.
Oh, the frozen one. Yeah, I was playing in the kitchen, and Ann was cooking as usual, or baking, and I snuck under the stove, and there was this little mouse, and I got closer and closer. It took me at least 10 minutes to get to his tail. I finally caught the mouse by the tail, and pulled it out, and it turned around and was going to bite me, and I let go of it. And whether that was the same day as the wolf, I don't remember. But the wolf was another day, maybe the same day. But I was over there by the stove. She was working by the thing. Here was the door here. And all of a sudden, Ann was busy baking bread or whatever, and I seen the door open up, and pretty soon I seen this wolf that was sitting up in the door. And I guess Ann, I don't remember this for sure, but I think because I don't remember Carl saying anything, so I think she must have heard something. She looked around and she said, "Oh!"
I bet it was Uncle Albert's idea.
Was that Carl and Albert?
Yeah, well, Carl, not Albert.
Oh.
No?
Yeah, see, they stacked the empty hay that they couldn't get in the barn, stack it out in a stack in the meadow. Then in the wintertime, you go and get it. What a hell of a chore, you know. Mm-hmm. So they'd go out there and out there to get the hay, and he found this wolf frozen to death sitting there. The wind had been blowing the night before.
It must have been really cold.
Must have been. Yeah.
God.
So did Aunt Anna ever forgive him for that?
I don't remember that.
Huh.
There's some things I don't remember. Like I remember there was upstairs. There was as far as the stairs go, I don't remember the stairs exactly what they looked like. But from the stairs down, there was a door there that went down to the living quarters below. For some reason or the other, I can remember this happened. The door was locked. Now, why didn't they have a pee pot for me to pee in or what? I had to pee and the door was locked.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I don't remember what happened, but I think it got peed on.
Oh.
There was in the living room, which, no, it wasn't because we ate in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But in the living room, on the wall, there was a dresser, some kind of a thing that this clock stood in. And the clock, I have to think, when I was small, things looked bigger than they do now.
That's right.
But I think the clock was about that wide.
Mm-hmm.
And it had these simulated marble columns in the front. And,
Yeah.
I remember that part, and it was supposedly given to him as a present from who, I don't know what that was all about.
Huh.
Oh, I remember one time, it was in the morning, and Albert and Father, I don't know about Albert, where he was, but they were all outside working on the barn or whatever. And I decided, well, I got to find out what will happen when I put this water in with this sugar. So they had quite a surprise. I remember them saying whatever, but all I remember is them saying something about it, but I don't remember what it was said or done.
Huh.
So that's probably about it. I remember going to town once. I wanted to see that thing because we'd hear this thing. I remember up in the new barn,
Yeah.
and heard this thing going, moo, 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 moo. And I asked Albert, what is that? And he says, oh, that's a big train.
Oh.
And so I wanted to see a train. And I went to town once that I remember with my father. And I don't know, maybe once more with Carl, but I'm not sure about Carl. I know I went to town with Albert, with my father. And I didn't get to see a train. For some reason or the other,
There
I
wasn't
didn't get to see it.
Wasn't one there, huh?
Huh?
There wasn't one there at the time.
That's it. No, it wasn't.
Huh.
But, you know, if they had just showed me a boxcar, I would have
You
been
would have been
something.
happy, huh?
Yeah.
So the first time you ever saw a train is when you left Canada to come to America.
The day before, the day of the sale, they had all these people come and bid on it and buy them and like that.
At your house?
That night, it was dark already. It had just gotten dark, and my father had loaded the chest with that he made and whatever and I was laying in the bottom of the box wagon. Adolph Russell, a good friend of my father's, who wasn't the crook, he's the only good person around there for a while. It was his wagon or whatever. Anyhow, I was laying in the bottom and I was looking up, and this size, the sky was full of bright stars.
Huh.
And about, I don't know who noticed it, but Alice and Ann was with me, and Father. I don't remember Carl being there. And I seen it, and said, well, one of Frank's shoes is gone. Oh, Adolph Russell stopped the wagon. Father got out and they walked back to we was about, only about 200 feet out of the gate. And he walked back there and he found the shoe. But he also found Lutz, the thief, and he had taken a logging chain and hid it during the sale. And so when Father came and he seen that, this Lutz, I forget his first name, the bunghole, he says, oh, John, I found this.
Oh.
That's what he said to my father. And they had stole a cow before that. They stole things you wouldn't believe. Bunch of bastards.
Yeah.
And my father to send Carl to west of Manitoba, because he was afraid that Carl was going to get in trouble, because at one time he had shoved this guy's smoke pipe down his throat because he was stealing the lines off of the wagon. And so Lutz was a bastard. And so that's what I remember about that part. And then the next morning, they loaded us up and we went, instead of going to Ashburn, which was north of us, we went east to Camper. That's where the train stopped. That was closer than Ashburn. And when I stepped on that step on the train, that was the first train I saw.
Wow.
Ever saw. Yeah. And when we got on the train, and after a day or two in the train, we went to Winnipeg, and then these bastard assholes, Tennyson, and his whole bunch of kids went with us. And he brought cows and stuff that are emaciated, no good bunch of crap, to my father to the sale, and made my father look bad, but it wasn't him. Assholes. And so we went to Winnipeg and we stayed there for a week or 2 weeks, and Tennyson's too. What a bunch of assholes. Jesus. And that was insane. We got the papers, my father got the papers, and we went to St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the point of embarkation or whatever you might call it. And my father had bought me a balloon, and I made the mistake of letting it go, and it went up to the roof.
Oh.
So he bought me another one, and it lasted all the way to Ripon.
Wow.
Anyhow, so that was, after we got in the train, we were there for at least a week and maybe 2 weeks. And we had that accident where the engine broke I don't know why they broke, but the railroad rails broke in pieces, and the engine went across, but the baggage car went down off the
Oh
thing.
my goodness.
When you guys were on it?
Yeah, we were on not a baggage car, we were on the train, and
Oh,
it just
gosh.
made a noise. Anyhow, next morning, somehow somebody knew that there was a person riding the blinds, what they call the blinds.
Yeah.
And Albert and this young guy, they're the same age as Albert, they were running around, and they found the guy. For some reason the other day, they seen what was what, and they said, "Hey, we know where he is." And they did, and they found him. The baggage car come and hit him and
Oh.
pushed him down into the rocks and stuff.
Not good.
Yeah, so anyhow, the next day they had taken all the baggage out of the baggage car, and we were out there looking at bulldogs in cages and chickens, roosters.
Wow.
That was the next day, and then they rerouted us, and we went, instead of going through Denver and like that, we went through the Tehachapi Mountains and came up from north.
Huh.
So that's about it, I guess.
And you landed in California?
Yeah.
Is that where your ultimate destination was?
The what? Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people there that were good people had moved to California, and they told my father about the weather being nice and warm. He had a leg that was dead. All it was was skin and bone.
Huh.
And I asked him about it, and he says, yeah, he said that the reason I moved was on account of it was
So
cold. And I
cold.
said, well, how cold was it? He says, I saw it 60 below.
Fiasco, Mom.
60 below?
What?
Fiasco.
Wow.
I think
So
it's.
you
I
can
spelled
imagine.
Oh, you did? Is it FIASCO?
it. Yeah,
Smarty pants.
that's pretty hard on this little bean.
Yeah.
So that's about all the goodies that I can think of.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I remember smelling these wild roses along the road, on towards up the road from us, and they were wild roses,
Mm-hmm.
and they smelled real good.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I can't smell them at all.
No, I think that's those roses we have out there that are little open roses with the yellow center that are so fragrant.
Those are wild
I think
roses.
they're wild roses.
Huh.
Yep,
I went to the lake once, and I was scared at the lake. I thought on a picnic, and we were there, and there's a nice sandy beach,
Uh-huh.
and the lake went way over. It wasn't a big lake, only 9 miles wide or whatever. Anyhow, we had a picnic there, and I was afraid the water was going to come, because you see the water, and if you're not used to seeing
Yeah.
what you're seeing, I thought the water was going to come. I was kind of apprehensive about it. What if Albert and Dorothy went swimming,
Huh.
and then the dog, he was chasing rabbits on the way, and he got sick, and I don't know if he died or not
Huh.
from running. It was summertime, and he overheated.
Huh.
I don't know if he recuperated or not about that. And then when we went, the last time when we went with Albert and Dorothy and like that.
That was that road trip that you took
Yeah.
all together?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was going to, I wanted to see the lake and that beautiful thing. We went there, and here was cows and mud and crap. It was no beautiful lake there.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah, I
See,
remember
you shouldn't
that.
have gone. Then it messed up your
Your memory.
memory.
Yeah. So I was cleaning up some boxes in the garage the other day,
Uh-huh.
and I found a pack of letters from when I was living at home. And one of them was a letter from you right after you arrived in Alaska when you went to go and visit Aunt Alice.
Oh, yeah?
And it says, I just got off the ferry and it was late and all this. If you were
Oh,
talking
yeah?
about
No.
getting there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even remember I had it.
Well, you know, if I mentioned the ferry,
Uh-huh.
that's the time when I drove the
The
Chrysler
Cadillac.
New Yorker.
Oh, yeah.
I had been there once before.
Mm-hmm.
Then that there, and then the third time I built the room onto my sister's.
And
place.
that's when you caught that big fish, right? Was that the trip that you brought the fish back?
No, that was the time when I, yeah. When I caught the fish.
Mm-hmm.
Want some soup?
In a minute.
That was when you caught that big
Yeah,
halibut.
halibut.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
said it just about beat the heck out of you when you were in the boat.
No, there was if you had a wooden boat
Uh-huh.
and you got a halibut, your wise thing to do was to kill it before you took it in, because if you had a wooden boat, they were big. This one was only about that big. They'd flap the bottom of the boat out.
Oh, God.
But the one I caught wasn't a wood boat; it was an aluminum boat, so it wouldn't
you
be
were
about
safe,
to do
huh?
it.
Yeah, that was good. I remember that you smoked it and canned it and brought
Yeah.
it back. That was wonderful.
It was good.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, I still
Yeah.
remember that.
What's that?
Well, I heard that